Hey everyone, I'm just getting my camera into position here and I'm going to show you today how to colour, or how I'm colouring. I think it's a magnolia, I do believe, from the Stampin' Up Remarkable You set. Now this was in the last Occasions catalogue, but it's only new to me. I'm sort of a little bit late to get on the bandwagon with this stamp set. So it's a two set. We've got two cases for this one because it's such a big one, and I'm going to be colouring this one here, and I'm doing them in purples, and I don't know whether they are in purple in real life, but for the sake of today they are going to be in purple. So I've got a little bit of a different technique when I colour in this one. The colours that I'm using for the green, and again I'm not 100% sure on how these look in real life. Like, I don't know whether that bit there is a petal or whether it is actually, you know, part of when it opens up and, you know, the little bit of the bud that's left over, but I'm taking it as the bud, so you know, if I'm wrong then so be it. So, but for the leaves I'm using Old Olive and Always Artichoke, which I haven't used for a really long time. So let's start by squeezing our ink pads. So what we will need again is our trusty aqua painter and our little bit of a paper toweling to wipe off on, and we shall get going. So I'm just gonna zoom in here and try and work out where I am. Now I've stamped in stays on to start with. Excuse me, I'll just get this organised so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up and make that into a little bit of a watery wash going on there, as I always start off. And then I'm just going to throw down that little bit of colour there. And like I said, I'm not sure whether these are supposed to be green or whether they're supposed to be petals or what the story is, but they don't look too bad when, like, I've coloured in one already and it doesn't look too bad. So if you are watching live, I think the time is like 4:45 or something, if you're watching this live with me now. If not, you're watching the replay, so you can still jump in and say hello. Okay, so I've just squeezed the ink pad for my artichoke, and I'm just going to come in and wipe off my Old Olive from my aqua painter here, and then just come in with the Always Artichoke and just pop down a little bit of colour at those base bits there. Okay, and then I will wipe off my nib again, my paintbrush, and then just come in and blend where that line is happening. So I think you can see that. And I wouldn't mind that actually a little bit deeper, so I'll come in again, just grab a little bit more on my brush and just make that a little bit deeper. Okay, so just like that. Now, so the green's pretty easy. Now the petals, because I do believe the magnolia is fairly pale in colour. Like, maybe I should have researched it a little bit before I started colouring them in to see what they actually looked like. But for this, I'm using Wisteria Wonder and Elegant Eggplant, and another one that I don't use very often is the Wisteria Wonder. So I'm just going to squeeze that again. Okay, and again I'm just going to make a bit of a watery palette here for myself. Don't want this one too watery, I want a little bit of colour in there because it's fairly pale. Now for this one, I'm actually just going to like flick the colour up rather than like paint the whole area. So you can see I'm just getting those brush strokes happening because I don't want, like, I just want a little bit of colour, so I'm just going to flick that up again. And that's how I'm going to do each of these petals. So, like I said, we are live at the moment, so you feel free to jump in and say hello. Just comment in the comment section as you normally would, just to let me know if you're watching. Okay, and just come around the side. So it's really, really pale, like it probably doesn't even look like I'm getting anything on there for you guys. I'll bring it up in a second to show you a little bit closer. Okay, and then just sort of flick that a little bit more so it sort of gets a little bit more darker on the... So you can sort of see what's going on there. It's only really very subtle, and because it's wet, it's got that sheen on it too. So, and I am working on shimmer paper again as well. So I can even just like bring that, now that my paintbrush has sort of settled a bit more, I can even bring that flicking up a little bit more. Hi Lorraine. Jump in and say g'day. Okay, so that's my first bit of colour down. Actually, I might just put a little bit more. That's probably a bad time of the day too, because everyone's probably getting their dinner ready, but I have got a nice pork roast in the oven and it is crackling very nicely. Okay, so my next colour, I'm just going to wipe off my pen again. So my next colour is the Elegant Eggplant. And I'm going to do the same thing as with everything else. Just get that little wash going on there. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with that flicking motion, but just not as high, like not as far up, so I'm not taking it, because I just want that colour to sort of come around there. Okay. So this is a fairly quick colouring as well, because we're not being too fussed with it all. And I'm going to cut it out, so I'm not too fussed. And then when I come back in for a bit deeper, I'm just going to go from, rather than from this wet palette, I'll go from the concentrated palette and just continue to build up that colour there, especially around that base where the if you can imagine where the flowers popped out from the bud. I said, oh, I'm going to have to go and actually have a look and see what how other people have coloured this in, and see what they look like in real life in pictures. So now what you can do also is just allow that to dry a little bit, and then come back in for another go. Now this card, these colours are a little bit of a sneak peek for a blog hop that I'm doing with the Colour Your World gals. And there's another colour, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, obviously, because I want you to have a little bit of a surprise. Hi Michelle. So but you can just keep coming and flicking that and adding depth to the base of that flower like that, until it gets to the point that you like it. And because it's sort of still wet while you're working with it, it sort of bleeds into each other and blends itself with that flicking motion, because you sort of like flicking up and you don't get those harsh lines then, if you can sort of understand where I'm coming from with that. So that is my colouring, a different style of colouring tutorial for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. So you can have a crack at that. I really quite enjoyed, I don't know why I didn't buy this stamp set the last time. Hi Rita. I really don't know why I didn't get this stamp set the first time it came out. I think I might have just been holding off a little bit, but I did quite enjoy colouring on that one. Oh look, I can see a little thumbs up go past my screen. That's the first time I've seen that. Thank you. Okay, and so that one's still wet, and then this one is one I coloured in a little bit earlier, so I might use both of them. I might just use one, but you'll have to wait for the final secret colour tomorrow. I think the blog hop goes live for me at around 5:30 p.m, so you'll have to come back and check my Facebook page and check blog later on. So hi Sandra, just sneaking in as I'm leaving. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you didn't catch it, if you girls who are on live at the moment and who didn't catch the beginning of it, the recording will be up very shortly. So give it a go. See you later.